This is What's Happening. I'm Sarah Colvin. Coming up on October 14th, the American Cancer Society presents the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk. It is taking place at the Barnstable County Complex in beautiful Barnstable Village on October 14th. Today, to talk with me a little bit about the American Cancer Society and the walk, I welcome Susie Frost. She is the Community Development Manager. Susie, welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
And I have Dave Norlach as well, who is a breast cancer survivor and a volunteer for the American Cancer Society. Dave, welcome to What's Happening.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. So, Susie, let's start with you and talk a little bit about the American Cancer Society. What's the mission of that organization?
So, the mission of the American Cancer Society is to basically fight cancer from every angle. There's research, patient services, advocacy. So they sort of do it all to sort of get the whole scope of how it affects people and groups and all that kind of stuff. So.
Absolutely, and even after years of research and work and prevention, cancer is still so much work left to be done. And Dave, I want to talk about your story a little bit. I think maybe some of our viewers might have been taken aback when they see a gentleman and I say a breast cancer survivor. So tell me your story, Dave.
Well, it's a little unusual, as you know, Sarah, for men to get breast cancer. But in 1997, I was diagnosed with invasive breast cancer. And I can remember my doctor suggesting I get a mammogram. Well, men don't get mammograms, right?
Of course.
But I went over there, and I'll be darned if they didn't find under my left nipple a bump about the size of a pea. And I asked the doctor, what do we do? He said, you find the best surgeon you can and get this cut out of you as fast as you can. Well, I was blessed. There were some marvelous doctors in town, and a gentleman by the name of Kess was a surgeon that did my work. Some of the audience may remember him. He's retired now. But they did a modified radical mastectomy. Fortunately, they got all the cancer. And I said to myself, I wonder why I'm still here. Because at that time, if a man got breast cancer, there was a pretty good chance that he wasn't going to make it. So I was here, and I found out a year later, I started to find out why I was here. And just briefly, I don't want to bore you with a lot of details, but somebody from the American Cancer Society called me and asked me if I'd like to come to an event called Relay for Life at the Dennis Yarmouth High School. My first reaction was, what's that? Well, she told me, and my wife and I went over there, and I can remember one of the things they had me doing was they gave me a bag that they eventually put sand and a candle in, and they put them around the track, and people could write different things on those bags. So they gave my wife a pen and me a pen, and they said, okay, now we want you to write, these are things that people want put on the bags, and we did. And I said, what are you going to do with these? And they said, we're going to line the track. And they did. At 9 o'clock at night, they turned all the lights out. And my wife and I walked around that track. And all of a sudden, I looked down there, and there was a bag that said, David Norlach, thank God you're alive. I said, huh? And there were a couple more. And all of a sudden, I just started crying. I just sat there, and I blubbered. And my wife said, what's the matter? I said, this is where it's at. This is what I want to do. I want to help beat this thing. And that started a lot of things in motion.
And so, Susie, for you, what is it like to work with Dave and volunteers like him?
Oh, it's amazing. So I met Dave actually when I was also a volunteer way back in 2004, I think. And I worked at the same relay he worked for, and we had a great time. And since then, it sort of spun into 14 years of volunteering and with people like Dave. And now I do other events also, like the Strides Walk that's coming up. And people all have the same mission. They all want to beat cancer, and they're all passionate and amazing people. So.
And it's amazing that you get a group together that are survivors like Dave, or folks who have lost loved ones, or just people who have been close to it. And I'm sure that the stories are just so emotional and so real that it can't help but inspire others to want to help out.
Very passionate people. Really lucky to get to work with them. For
and Dave, where else has your volunteerism taken you?
Well, from that relay, somebody with the American Cancer Society found out that in my professional career, I did management development and training work for ExxonMobil. Actually 33 years with them. And they asked me if I'd like to do a little training with the ACS. I had no idea what I was getting into, but I found out very quickly. A group was formed in Atlanta the next year. 8 of us went down there. It's called the National Leadership Training Team. And what we ended up doing was going around the country training people how to run relays in a lot of different cities. And it fit right into my background because that's what I had done for a long period of time. And I did that for over 10 years. And at the same time, my wife and I were also the survivor chair celebration for the DUI relay. So between those two things, it kept me pretty busy with the American Cancer Society. In fact, I loved every minute of it. It was
I
great.
actually attended some of Dave's training as when I was a volunteer, so he actually trained me for my job.
You were very trainable.
Yes.
And of course, Relay for Life takes place earlier in the
That's in
year,
June.
and now as we're getting into the fall, tell me a little bit about the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer walk that's
So
taking
we
place in October.
meet at the courthouse complex, and we have a little survivor coffee hour that survivors and their families are welcome to come to. And then the walk starts at 11. It's a 2-mile or a 4-mile loop around the harbor, which is beautiful. Usually is a nice day, so we always keep our fingers crossed for that. And then we have a band coming for an hour or so after the walk. We're going to have a pink party in the parking lot, sort of people selling baked goods and things out of their trunk. So it's sort of a fun little atmosphere, and it's not quite as long as the Relay for Life. That's a 24-hour event. This event's about 4 hours, so yeah, it's a great day.
So it doesn't take up your entire weekend.
Doesn't take up your entire
takes up a little
weekend,
part of
right,
it.
yeah.
So what time does everything get started?
So registration for participants starts at 10. You can register online beforehand, which makes it a little easier when you're there. And then we have the Survivor Coffee Hour going on, and the actual walk starts right at 11.
Great. And so registration, then the coffee hour happens, and then the walk itself starts at 11, 2 or 4 miles. And thinking about that beautiful place, you probably walk down the hill. Do you go down by Millway Beach,
You
kind
do,
of
right?
do a
And then
circle
kind of up
around and come
back
back?
onto 6A, yeah.
Very
It's
nice.
very nice.
I walked that route with my dogs just the
Yes.
other week.
That's
lovely.
a great spot, yeah.
So do people have to sign up ahead of time, or can they do so the day of the event?
They can do both. They can sign up right on the website, which is makingstrideswalk.org/Cape Cod, Mass. Well, actually, Cape Cod, MA. Or they can come to the event and sign up then. It's free registration, and they just can come and enjoy themselves and just join in.
Fantastic. So anything, Dave, that you would say to encourage people who may not have participated in an event like this before to come down and enjoy a beautiful day?
Well, I had an opportunity to start in 1999 at the Boston Walk, which is huge by comparison to ours. But 7, 8 years ago we had our first walk, something
Yep,
like
this
that.
is the 7th.
I got involved in putting that thing together on the Cape with the ACS people. And it's great down here, believe it or not. That's a terrific walk over there. It's only 2 to 4 miles, and there's going to be a lot of people there. And if you're a cancer survivor, or if you have anybody that's had cancer in your lifetime, it's worth coming to, really. You'll really feel like you're participating in something that has value and is really important.
Wonderful. And Susie, one more time, if folks want to learn more, the website.
The website is www.makingstrideswalk.org/Cape Cod, MA.
Wonderful. Well, Susie Frost and Dave Norlach, thank you so much for joining us on What's
Thank
Happening.
you so much
Thank
for
you,
having
Sarah.
us.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much. And the Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk is taking place at the Barnstable County Complex on October 14th, of course, to raise money for the American Cancer Society. For What's Happening, I'm Sarah Colvin.